Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Hello and welcome to this special series on personal economy. Now, a series that explores the concept of what exactly personal economy is and how we can work towards achieving all that is important to us. In our opening episode last week, we had a look at the very first edition of the recently held Personal Economy Summit, Your Wealth and Beyond, presented by HSBC Premier in partnership with CNBC TV18. This week, we're back at the summit to catch up with speakers who inspired us with their stories. The session on Present Continuous to Future Perfect explored the challenges towards gearing up for retirement. The Chief Investment Officer at HSBC Asset Management India, Tushar Pradhan, was at the helm.
So what I was going to just share with all of you is some ideas about what retirement is all about. I think if you look at the startups, you look at people who have made an enormous amount of money even before they are 30. Retirement for them actually means something very different. As we go along, it might be actually even the other way, where people way beyond their 60s and 70s will continue to work and not really retire in any way. So I think the whole concept of retirement is undergoing a dramatic change. And as everything else is changing, so are our choices. One concept which was talked about, which is I think very, very important from a retirement perspective, is compound interest. Many people don't understand it. Many people don't get it. Many people associate return with just that percentage sign. But that percentage sign, when it comes with a simple interest and when it comes with compound interest and over long periods of time, it means very, very, very different things. If you're trying to just imagine the kind of return you are going to get, you're not looking at the picture at all. You not only need to look at the return over long periods of time, but you have to target a sum of money, which is called a corpus. And that corpus should yield you some sort of income for the rest of your life after you decide to retire. And especially it is very important for us to understand in India that inflation is one of the biggest problems in this dream. And why inflation? Is because it erodes into the concept of wealth that you have. 10 years ago, any sum of money that you thought was amazingly large is not really that large anymore. So what's changed? What has changed is inflation. And many times, we have no idea about how to hedge this against what may come in the future. The other point I would like to see and to just explore a little bit is that the habits of Indians, that they would rather prefer to see their cash than to invest. And that's the whole point about being able to either be satisfactorily retired or even very comfortably so, and then suddenly realizing that your inflation has eaten into whatever pot you had put away. So I think in sum, what we're talking about is when we talk about assets, we have to understand their long-term compounding potential. We have to talk about the effect of inflation, and we have to talk about asset allocation. Thank you very much. What individuals should focus upon is a consistency of approach. One should look at the institution which is giving you the advice. One should feel confident about the disintermediation at the front end. It should be easy to disseminate. People who are approaching these services should understand what they're getting into. They should be fully disclosed in terms of what they're getting into. I think these are very, very important steps before somebody really commits to a longer-term relationship.
Now, our next speaker needs no introduction, but I'll still say a few lines about him, all right? Now, cricket fans will know all the statistics of his game like the back of their hands. But he's here to share his unique perspective on the topic of retirement from a sportsman's perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, the charismatic Mr. Kapil Dev.
My topic is my passion. And my passion was just to play. Run away from the school, run away from anywhere, just to complete my passion. When I used to play cricket, I never need alarm to get up in the morning because my passion was to play. But somewhere along the line, I realized this passion is not going to give me everything. because sportsman life is very limited. 10 years, 15 years, and I didn't want to spend my life only to talk about cricket and live for cricket. No, you have to move on. My passion is life. Enjoy my life and how I can enjoy my life. Without money, you can't enjoy your life. First loan I taken way back in 83. To me, that 15,000 rupees paying every month to the bank was huge. But I agree with him, after 3 years, 15,000 looked nothing. Today, 15,000 look like a peanuts. But the asset what I made at that time was huge. But anybody have any question? I love to talk question answer.
As per your wish, yes, we do have a round of questions for you. I'm sure there's an excited audience here. But along with you, if I could invite Tushar back on stage, so we'll do a quick joint Q&A. Mr. Kapil Dev, we have a question for you from Twitter. It says, did you plan your post-retirement life once you stopped playing, or did that thought occur to you while playing? And then how did you go about it?
It just happened when I was playing cricket. It was the best topic. I heard that. One of my senior cricketers said, Kapil, if you want to be successful in life, keep your eyes and ears open while sleeping also. And I was honestly, I laughed on my senior colleague. I said, must be mad. But he said, second thing he said, don't literally go what I'm saying, understand the meaning of that. The meaning was, be alert in life, understand everything what's happening around you. You will be never let yourself down then.
Passion is life, surely a good doctrine to live by. Well, it's time now for a break, but when we return, what goal setting in the midterm is all about. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching a special episode on Personal Economy Summit, Your Wealth and Beyond, presented by HSBC Premier in partnership with CNBC TV 18. We all gear up in one way or another towards retirement, but what about midterm goals? To understand what they are, we first need to understand ourselves, and that's what the next session explored. The first speaker was Head of Retail Banking and Wealth Management Business at HSBC India, S. Ramakrishnan.
I did realize that I'm supposed to be talking about midterm goals, and there's a lot of similarity between this and cricket. So I'm going to try and draw a little parallel, excuse me. If you recollect how limited over match is played, there are these first 10 overs where you have these specialist openers who get the team off to a flying start. And then there are those last 10 overs, which is the death overs where the big hitters come in, there's a slogging happening, and they just take you across the line. Possibly the two most exciting periods, and everybody loves to watch it, the most glamorous part of cricket. But I firmly believe it's those middle 30 overs, that the little singles that people tend to just miss as an audience. That's what sets the foundation. In the financial world, we'd call it the barbell. The left side weight is very akin to what you're doing here and now, which is your career. So what is it that you're going to do today? Okay, you've got a presentation to make tomorrow. I need to work at it. And the other side of the bar is what Tushar talked about, is planning for that future, that power of compounding that he talked about. But do we really miss out on what are those little milestones that happen during our life between now and retirement? So what are those milestones that we talked about in the midterm? They could be something as simple as lunch in a restaurant, in a Michelin restaurant, or it could be something as big as setting up your own office. It could be recurring. It could be a holiday that I'd like to plan every year, every 2 years. It could be emotional about sending your children to the best education, best schools, or it could be something a little crazy of saying, let me buy a convertible. A midterm goal is something that you cannot or normally cannot do by just swiping your card. But it's not so big that you've got to make life-changing choices. Given that we know what are these kind of midterm goals, the most important thing after that is to plan for it. By the way, when I talk to a lot of people in my career, and I ask them, what's your midterm goal? Honestly, they're not able to think beyond 1 or 2. So I'm just going to give you a few examples, and it may resonate with you. Could these be your goals? Maybe buying a new home, healthcare, it could be taking care of elders at your family, or protection from unforeseen events. Now, no one likes to talk about this, but that's a reality. The next thing you do after this, when you make your plan, is you prioritize them. When you do this, now you're set to make your plan. At the end of this, this is what your plan should look like. 21, 23, 25. It's a very simple way of looking at financial plans, but that's exactly what it is. It's not that we don't know how to do it, but the truth of this is my last slide. We don't plan to fail, but we just fail to plan. Thank you very much. We have very good saving habits. The problem is we don't exactly save for the money to grow. We save to ensure we don't lose. Now that's a big difference. And clearly with the way the world is moving, you can't just save to ensure you don't lose.
All right, now our final speaker in this session, present continuous to future perfect, has been a key player in the advertising industry for over 2 decades. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the MD and CEO of Future Brands India, Santosh Desai.
Thank you very much. And it's a privilege to be here. I'm talking about the middle stage. I'm talking about this middle phase of a kind. And it's the kind of phase where you can argue that the best came before you and the best is yet to come, a little later. I come from a generation where without recognizing it, without thinking about it, you finish studies, you got a job, you have to settle down, and there's a whole conspiracy that is afoot that everyone wants you to settle down, and you settle down and you are 35 before you know it. At the age of 40, at the age of 45, you start having sort of both sides on the balance sheet filling up. This is the time when you actually have to balance so many competing goals, so many competing needs, and all of it kind of comes in together. So at one level, there is a career. The money that you make per unit of work starts becoming more and more favorable in a certain sense. On the other hand, on the family front, you have a new set of needs. This is the first generation that uses the word parenting. The concept of parent as a verb is a new concept as far as India is concerned. And therefore, this new kind of an anxiety, what my children will do, what are they good at, what classes do they go to, they must at an undergraduate level study internationally. These are the new, completely new kind of needs. My mental model of life is of a multi-plug, where you are a multi-plug and there are a variety of things that kind of plug into you. So there's a family responsibility that plugs into you. There is the idea of an alternative or a second career that plugs into you. And there are, for instance, involvement with NGOs or being an investor. These are all little kind of plugs. It's an exciting part because you have the opportunity of writing a new script for yourself. You have the opportunity of in a sense, finding multiple pursuits, which are, to my mind, increasingly the order of the day. If I had to distill it down and end with what I saw, as a great opportunity was the fact that here's a stage in life where you have choices, you have the ability to genuinely enrich, your life. That's our great opportunity, not money, but enrichment. And I think that's, personally, I find that a goal that is worth pursuing. Thank you so much.
If I can request you to stay on a little while longer, and I'd like to invite Ramki back on stage. We'll have a quick Q&A session with the audience.
So I'm pursuing MBA in SPJ Institute of Management and Research right now. And to come to your point, you said we don't plan to fail, which is absolutely right. So in the course, if we fail, how do we gather that motivation to still go ahead with the plan?
There is always a plan that works. You have to just look for it. Does you have anything else to...
Don't fail. Not in your MBA. I mean, come on.
That's a better answer.
Simple as that.
You are now, going to have the first kind of set of people gaining full adulthood who have grown up in a liberalized world, who've grown up with their parents having more in terms of disposable income than their earlier generations. This changes things, because this suddenly the sense where money is not tight, where every action of yours is not first and foremost been kind of framed by saying, do we have the money for this?
Time to get my pen and paper to make that list. We'll take a short break now. When we're back, a sports person who overcame personal odds to change the game. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching a special series on Personal Economy Summit, Your Wealth and Beyond, presented by HSBC Premier in partnership with CNBC TV 18. Now, heroes inspire and lead with their courage and determination. We were honored to have in our midst at the summit one such man, a sports person whose fielding skills were instrumental in many a cricketing victory for his country, South Africa. Jonathan Rhodes, aka Jonty Rhodes.
Talking about heroes, thank you, it's very, very kind, but accidental hero is kind of what I think I'd have to call myself. Because if I think back to 1992, when I literally burst onto the scene in world cricket, I was then selected for the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. During a game in Pakistan, South Africa were playing Pakistan, the 92 World Cup. A certain young man, Inzamam ul Haq, was batting with his captain, Imran Khan, at the time. So when I got the opportunity for a run out, and at that stage we desperately needed a wicket, I didn't back myself to throw the stumps down because there was a chance that I could hit, and there was also a good chance that I was going to miss. So I thought, Inzamam, I can see him halfway down the wicket, and even at 19 he wasn't the best runner between the wicket. He wasn't the fastest guy to turn around. And I could see out the corner of my eye Imran Khan standing there with his hand up. He wasn't moving anyway. So Enzi had to turn around. So I thought, okay, let me just get to the crease as fast as possible, and I'll just knock the bails off with my hand. And as I was running to get there, accidental, I tripped over my shoelaces, I fell, but fortunately I fell into the wickets. Suddenly there I was, this fielder who was changing the way that fielding was done, accidentally. So that was the first accident. The second accident was that I grew up in an environment where the white English-speaking kids had a lot of opportunities to play sport in the apartheid era South Africa. As a rugby player, I wasn't allowed to play because I had epilepsy. So was that the end of the world for me? No. And I think there's a key for me here is that the fact that I knew my limitations. Okay, I can't play rugby. I have epilepsy. I can't get my head in the bottom of a loose ball. I knew my limitations. I knew where my weaknesses lay, and I focused on my strengths. If we can focus a bit more time on doing what we love to do and what we really are not good at, but what we love to do and are passionate about, it's amazing how that growth, that incremental, that compound growth will be. For me, it's all about the process. So is the process right? You can never guarantee the results. If it happens, that's good. Then it's gone according to my plan. But if it doesn't, was the process right? And the same thing happens now with Mumbai Indians. As a fielding coach, I'll watch a guy's body language. And if he looks like to me he was sleeping and he drops a catch, then I'll have a little note and speak to him quietly afterwards. But if he's gone for the ball and he's dropped it, that's fine. Was the process right? Was he in position? Was he expecting the ball? I know, I've dropped catches, many of them. But the process was right. I think that's the key. Just last two things from my point of view was that we spoke about change earlier as well. We've heard it. There's change everywhere. And okay, so one thing you can do with change, you can turn your back and say, that's not for me. The second thing you can do is that you can embrace it. Think, man, what a great idea. Let's do it. Or I'm going to do that. I hate to tell you, if you embrace change, you're just keeping up with the opposition. If you initiate change, everyone wants to do what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Jonty, good evening.
Hi, sir.
This question to you.
Yes.
What is your passion right now? Is it coaching, cricket, or is it an accident?
It's actually traveling, believe it or not. I'm doing very well at traveling. So when I come to India, I get on the bullet. So I'd ride out to Lonavala from in Jaipur. We'll go for 4 or 5 hours into the desert. Chennai, I'll ride down East Coast Road. And I just discovered that the more you find out about other people, the more you learn about yourself. That's my passion.
This one's actually coming from Twitter. It's about your daughter India. So, how is she doing?
Well, India is growing. The South African economy our growth rate is 1.2, and India is what, 6-7%? So India is a lot healthier than South Africa in her growth. Let's put it that way, mildly. Well, I think these days with young sportsmen and women, and the fact that sport has become an industry, is that you need to create a team around you. And I think that is so important. Too often you'll hear people who've been let down by their agents or by the management companies looking after them. And it's such a key element to have because we are sportsmen, let's face it, all women. And finance is not our key go-to kind of career.
On that note, it's time to say goodbye for this week. Stay tuned for more in the series, as next week, the founder and CEO of 197 and Paytm, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, shares his fascinating journey as an entrepreneur at the Personal Economy Summit, Your Wealth and Beyond, presented by HSBC Premier in partnership with CNBC TV 18. Many thanks for watching.
You can achieve anything till the time all your forces are aligned towards that direction. It is easy to say that you want to do many things, and it is tough to get a focus.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.